Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Luther Lampert, Director of Digital Banking Strategies with Northwest Bank. Welcome into our podcast series. One of our goals of this series is to help decode or demystify some of the terms or jargon that we as bankers use to help give you a better understanding of banking and some of our different products and services. Joining me today is Jason Olson. He is the Director of Treasury Management for Northwest Bank. Jason has over 20 years of banking experience. He's been part of our Treasury team since 2009 in sales, operations. He's also been involved with the onboarding of different Treasury management products. He's also a certified Treasury professional. He's here today to decode Treasury management and provide some details into why Treasury services may be the right fit for you and your business. Hi, Jason. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
One thing we want to do is demystify some of the terms that we use in banking. And one of those is, well, we refer to it as treasury management, but other institutions might call it treasury services or cash management. So for those who don't know, what is treasury management?
Sure. I could go into a long definition about, assisting corporate clients with their receivables and disbursements, assuring that their money is working for them according to what they value, and so on and so on and so on. But what it really comes down to, our team works directly with our business customers, usually their finance team, whether that's like a CFO, a treasurer, controller, or for the large corporate clients, or directly with a business owner or account manager for a small business, really to understand the answer to three basic questions. How does your money come in? How does your money go out? And what do you want to do with it when you have it? So we try to understand how they manage their cash flow to determine specific products or services that we can provide at the bank to make their processes seamless and efficient.
So once you know those pieces of information, what are you able to help with? So what are some of the tools that you can offer a business to help them with their cash management?
Sure. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is just what are they doing to view their accounts, and who are they giving access to the different tools? So unlike on a personal side of setting up online banking, you can view everything that you're attached to and do all the transactions. On the business side, we need to be a lot more customizable. So our business online product, we can set up specific users that need to view the accounts, view the statements, and process all the transactions, maybe a business owner or that CFO position. But then they might have another person that's doing deposits and just need to do that process, or processing payroll and just need to use that function. So they don't need to see the account, but need to access online for those services. We can customize that. So it's really first looking at how does this business want to, use the banking services that we have with the employees that they want to give access to. That's probably the biggest one to start with, and it can get pretty cumbersome. But a lot of our business owners that are doing it all themselves, they're looking for that piece that they can give to someone else so they can focus on the business. They can focus on the widget that they're building or the service that they're going out and doing for their clients, so that accounting and treasury function can be given to someone else.
And so if you're building out those templates, what are some of the different sorts of tools that you're seeing those businesses, employees utilize to help their jobs be more efficient, get things done faster, get things done before deadlines, especially when you're talking about, getting ACH files, direct deposit files out on a Friday?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, back to our questions of how's your money come in and how's your money go out, it's really that payables and receivables function of their business. So if they're, getting paid with a lot of checks, and they don't really have an office super close to one of our locations, so they're, waiting to do a deposit till the end of the week, so it doesn't take up much of their time. Well, they don't have access to those funds then right away. So we might suggest to them our remote capture services. That would be a machine that we would install at their office, and they would run that deposit similarly to our tellers at the bank. They keep the checks, they scan them, and that gets into their account right away. So that's a great feature for them, so they don't have to leave the office. Similarly, if maybe they bring in funds, people want to pay them via ACH. We have an origination service that they can log in. They can create that file to bring in those receivables, or if they need to pay people, they can send out their payables. But that would be our ACH services. And when most people think of ACH services, the biggest factor is payroll. Everyone likes getting paid direct deposit. They know it's going to be there on that Friday morning or the 15th of the month. That's the typical use for ACH services, but it's so much broader when we talk about their payables and their receivables as well. All that functionality is done within that business online banking application, and it just runs smoothly and more efficient for their cash flow, for better use of those funds. So those are two of the big products that we use among numerous others. Mm-hmm.
So one of the fears is as you start to make things easier, the potential for risk opens up, especially potentially fraud if you are handling a large amount of payroll files or even not necessarily a large amount, but just doing that in a more efficient manner. So what are some ways that your team allows for some better fraud prevention for our customers?
Oh yeah, sure. Fraud prevention is huge right now, especially on the business side. Typically a business holds more balances than your typical consumer account, and those fraudsters out there know that. There's also different regulations around when things can be disputed, and to assure that those funds come back, and they're much tighter timeframes on a business than it is on the consumer side. So we enable our customers to have an option called positive pay. And really, the only thing we don't know about our business accounts are the checks that they've written or the ACHs that they've authorized people to debit their account. So what we do is we have them upload that information to us. They upload a file that has their check number, the amount, the date, maybe who it's made payable to for the checks. And as those checks are coming from the Fed, it goes through that list and says, okay, this matches, I'm going to send it through. Whereas if a check comes through that's not on the list, now it creates an exception that our customers can log in and view that check and then say, yes, I did pay that. I just didn't get it on the list. Or, hey, I did pay this, make this check, but it came through with the wrong check number. So we just need to do an adjustment on our side with that check number. Or, hey, I didn't write that check at all. It's not in my list. I don't know who this is. It's more than likely fraud. Now we can return it right away, and they don't have to go through all the fraud paperwork and getting a police report or changing accounts. It's just really a great function to maintain, again, their cash flow services, because customers don't want to close an account and open a new one and have all their ACH vendors change, order new checks, go through that whole process again. And then they can make sure that the funds that are in that account are protected. Vice versa on the ACH side, we just make everything an exception. And when it comes through, they just create a rule that says, okay, I've got my utility bill that's $500 a month, and it comes from this vendor. When that comes through, they just accept that item, and then they can say, going forward, this vendor is allowed to debit our account. And they can go down even further and say, only for up to $600. That way, if it comes through for $5,000, it's still now is an exception and for them to look at and make sure they can either stop that or get a hold of that vendor to make sure they're doing the right amount too. So it's a great tool to make sure very limited opportunities for fraud to hit their account.
We've talked about a couple different use cases for some treasury management services. What different sorts of products do we offer? I mean, is it just strictly checking accounts, or what other account options are there?
Sure. Just like you need on the personal side, a checking account is very specific to businesses as well. We've got different levels of checking accounts. We've really manufactured our accounts to fit a growing business. So we might have a small business account called our simple account that just is there for you to run checks, do what you need, make deposits. And then as you grow, we can get you into our choice checking account that gives you more items, gives you those capabilities for these treasury services to be added on for the ACH remote capture. And then our large corporate companies that have larger balances that they want to offset some fees or gain some interest, we have analysis products that can suit those needs. So we've got a slew of checking products that our treasury reps will work with those clients to say, where do you fit in your current situation and where do you want to grow to in the long run? The last question that we always ask is, what do you want to do with your money while you have it? So those businesses that have larger balances, they want to, make sure they're earning enough for their company as well. So, what type of savings products they can use, money market funds, we've got those available. But one of the big ones here lately is we've got a great product called Insured Cash Sweep. The FDIC insures businesses at each bank up to $250,000, and that's it. There's no way to manipulate that by different products or titling different ways like we can on the consumer side. So if they're looking for that, that security, we've got this product that can utilize FDIC insurance from other banks in the network. It's a little bit more convoluted than that, but in the general aspect, and then they can bank at one bank and use the FDIC insurance from multiple banks and gain some interest on those large balances as well. So another great tool that our treasury team can utilize for those specific scenarios when they have larger balances to be covered as well.
And aside from the traditional banking products, there are a couple more payment avenues that you can open up for your business customers. You want to touch on those?
Yeah, I mean, with the biggest thing that we think about when looking at additional payment side, other than ACH services or check, is debit cards, credit cards, maybe even these reloadable cards, so you don't have to give employees access to a line of credit like a credit card would use. But we've got all these different avenues for them that we can dive into. A lot of businesses already have some credit cards where they're getting points that they can use for travel if they have to go to different conferences, or they just need that cash back for the payments that they're using it on. We've got a lot of different options for them. We've even got some big products in there. Purchasing card is one of the larger treasury services that gives customers better control over those credit cards. Maybe they have multiple employees that need um, uh, access to credit because they're traveling and doing these day jobs that they need to buy food while they're out at whatever location they're at, or buy supplies for whatever they're building. It's a great way for them to control that. And again, just gives them better access to those options. The reloadable cards are kind of nice because we can get them, again, access to a card that they can use, but they only load what that employee needs. So if they're just going to get supplies for the office, instead of them using their own personal funds and then having to get reimbursed, or giving them a credit card that they could, use more than they need, they can use this card that they load exactly what they need. And then once they're got everything that all those supplies, they can pull the rest of the funds off there until the next time that they need. So again, just how they want to manage that cash for that business the right way are some of those great options.
So there's a lot of different products and services that your team offers, and it seems like it could be potentially overwhelming, especially if you're a smaller business. So the nice thing is you can sort of piecemeal the things and the tools that are going to work for you. So at what point in a business's development do you start to see them seek out treasury services? Or maybe a better question, when do you see um, businesses really need it and maybe they don't even know to come to you or your team?
Sure. At Northwest Bank, the whole bank, we're really geared on relationship banking. So our treasury reps work closely with our commercial lenders And those lenders understand the majority of what Treasury services are, but they know when to, get a Treasury rep involved with maybe a growing business, or one of our current clients is that need better process enhancement. So they usually find those opportunities with that team, or business customers coming in and asking for those services with us. They have a CPA that talks to them about all their accounting needs. They have a lawyer to talk about all their legal needs, and they want to come to the bank and say, "Bank, what are my best options to make my business run better?" So it really could be at those early stages, or they've been doing everything on their own and now are looking to grow and need stuff off their plate, and they're coming and asking those questions. And you're right, it's not something that we need to throw all of our products at them at once, because that's not going to make things more efficient. We really see ourselves as consultants instead of salespeople. We want to ask those questions and see where their pain points are and get them the service that fits that need at that time. And once we implement ACH services, now they've moved their payments off their checks and onto ACH, so they're collecting their funds faster, so they can continue to grow their business faster. And then maybe a year or two down the road, they might see that they need remote capture, and they've moved locations and they're further away from the bank, and that option's better for them as well. So we can add on that service as we grow. Our Treasury reps continue to work with those customers on a regular basis. It's not just go in, make the sale, and move on to the next one. It's continue to build that relationship and really help that business grow as they're doing their banking services with that right team, that commercial lender and that Treasury rep as one cohesive team.
Jason, if we have somebody listening who is a business owner or running the finances for their business, and they're curious about treasury management services and what you and your team might be able to do for them, what's the best first step? What should they be doing?
They can simply reach out. We've got a list of our treasury reps on our website for those different regions. Our bank kind of does that differently and makes sure we have a specific rep close in their market, so we can set up an appointment and just have them come in and talk to us about their business and learn about some of their struggles, either directly at our bank location. Our reps actually go out to businesses regularly, and because they want to see it in action as well. They want to go through their offices and see who's dealing with the mail, who's dealing with the checks, what your guys' process is, so we can make it better for you. So yeah, we're definitely on hand to either have you come see us or go out and see you as well.
That's a great introduction to treasury management. Jason, thank you for joining me today. I'm sure we'll be having several more conversations about you and all the things that your team can do for our customers.
Oh, thanks for having me. I can talk about treasury services till I'm blue in the face. I've been doing it for a few years now and just really enjoy assisting our clients and making their process better.
Running a small business isn't easy. Simplify your work with Northwest Bank Treasury Services and be more productive. Our treasury services help you manage day-to-day cash flow, payroll, vendor payments, and more, so you can keep your business running more efficiently. Thank you for listening. Keep checking nw.bank for more episodes of the podcast. You can also find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to get notifications every time we release a new episode. Northwest Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC.